The CD was first thought of by James Russell in 1965. His idea, known as optical digital recording, was to store information digitally on photosensitive film using a laser to record and play back. By 1980, he had made the first disc player. Russell was unable to gain any interest in the device until Sony and Philips licensed it and established a proprietary optical digital recording format for his audio called the compact disc, or CD, and was able to deliver a commercial product in 1982. Following that, in 1985, came up with a related optical digital recording format called the compact disc read-only memory, also known as the CD-ROM. CD-ROM is a compact disc used as a read-only optical memory device for a computer system. Since this technology was created during my birth year, I can only remember the time that the floppy disks were in use, and also the cassette tapes for audio, music, and the floppy disk was also a type of storage where the CD-ROM housed digitally stored info. The floppy disk used a type of magnetic storage. They came in different sizes. Most commonly known size was the 3.5-inch floppy disk. I remember using these disks up until about 96 or 97 when they were replaced in the schools with new computers that had CD drives. The compact disc could store different types of media like data, audio, and video. The success of the CD-ROM was short-lived with the invention of the thumb drives and cloud storage. A compact disc is a thin circular piece of metal and plastic, about 12 centimeters, just over 4.5 inches in diameter. It actually is made of 3 layers. Most of a CD is made of a tough brittle plastic called polycarbonate. Sandwiched in the middle of this is a thin layer of aluminum. And finally, on top of the aluminum is a protective layer of plastic and lacquer. The first thing you notice about a CD is that it is shiny on one side and dull on the other side. The dull side usually has a label on it telling you what's on the CD. And the shiny side is the important part. It is shiny so that a laser beam can bounce off the disc and read the information stored on it. Until CDs were invented, music was typically stored on vinyl, LP, records, and cassette tapes. LPs scratched easily, while tapes could stretch and distort, and sometimes snap and seize up entirely. Both of these ways of storing music were primitive compared to CDs. LPs were played on turntables with a moving arm that bounced along a groove in the plastic, reading back the music as it went. Record players, or gramophones, as they were sometimes known, used mechanical technology for recording and playing back sound. The moving arm turned the bumps in the plastic into sounds you could hear. Cassette tapes used in such things as the original Sony Walkman worked a different way. They stored sounds using magnetic technology. When you put a cassette into your Walkman, a small electric motor dragged the tape past a little electromagnet. The electromagnet detected the pattern of magnetism on the tape, and the electronic circuit changed this back into the sounds that fizzed and popped in your headphones. CDs were used for music at first. At first they were only meant for audio. It wasn't until they had become popular that the computer industry saw their potential to store data. Compact discs are the first optical disc used to store digital data. They first hit the market in 1982, used purely to store audio. The first album released for compact disc was The Visitors by ABBA, and quickly became the industry standard for audio playback. Later, as the technology developed, the digital world came to see it as a way to store actual data, as opposed to just sounds. CD-ROMs rolled out in 1985, and recordable compact disc CDRs were introduced in 1990. The compact disc, like a record, contains tracks. The track is a single line starting from the center of the disc and spiraling out. On a record, it starts from the edge and it works its way inward. The tracks contain a series of pits, which are small dimples in the surface, and lands, which are parts that have no dimples in them. They are put into the aluminum surface of the CD. The pits are about 500 nanometers wide and 100 nanometers deep. A nanometer is 1/1,000,000th of a millimeter. The area between each track is about 1600 nanometers. So, a red laser using a wavelength of about 780 nanometers looks at the track and looks for the changes between the pits and lands. Much like the way a record needle used to run along the track and sense the varying bumps, which it used to read the sounds. What makes the CD different is that it doesn't look any different from. It doesn't look any different. Look for different kind of pits. It simply looks for a change from pit to land. If it sees a change, it counts that piece of data as an on. If it doesn't see a change, it counts it as an off. The ons and offs are then translated into data. There are different types of compact discs to include the CD-ROM, recordable CD, which is CDR, rewritable CD, CDRW, CD graphic, CDG, and that one is commonly used in karaoke. You also have photo CDs, which was designed by Kodak and is simply a format of CDs to hold pictures. Due to the compact disc being primarily made of plastic and the writable surface exposed, this made the CDs very fragile. The smallest scratch or even dust could cause read errors or the data contained on the disc. It could cause read errors in the data contained on the disc and make playback difficult or even impossible. Due to this, CDs are now a thing of the past, and streaming audio and storage, with streaming audio and cloud storage taking its place. So you don't see a lot of CDs, CD-ROMs, and all of this in the stores anymore. A lot of stores like Best Buy and Target have, if not haven't already, they have talked of ceasing selling the CDs due to the digital sales, online and just digital downloads. So that has replaced the CDs, even though they are still being used, not so much anymore. They are becoming like the VHS, which you really don't see those anymore. But that's the CD.